Baby back ribs. Who doesn't love them? I'm Darnell with Wave Over Recipes, and we're going to see how the Ninja Foodi Deluxe XL pressure cooker air fryer does with some baby back ribs right now. Alright, so just to show you the ribs before I get them out of the cryo bag, it's about 9.2 pounds of ribs, and it's about 3 slabs. If you see like pork loin back ribs, that's baby back ribs. Same thing, different name, pork loin back or baby back. But I'm going to get them on out of the cryo bag now. Alright, so I got these ribs out the cryo bag, and I'm just going to check for any membrane that might need to be removed. You take kind of like a dull knife and you can just kind of get up under here if there's any membrane that needs to be pulled out. Alright, as I check these out, I'm not finding any really thick membrane to remove. Like usually if there's a real thick membrane to remove, I'll pull that off the back. But this one, it's like as I get a knife underneath and I just kind of tug on the membrane, it kind of comes apart pretty easy. So I don't think it's very thick. And so in cases like this where it's not like a really kind of thick membrane, like a big layer of skin kind of membrane, I may just leave it on because that means it's not going to be... Oh, there we go. There we go. I got a piece of it now. Basically, what I just pulled, you want to get like all of that. You got to get like all the way across and pull all the way down to pull all of that off to get that whole membrane off. So I'll just work on that and get all 3 slabs demembraned. If I can't really easily get the membrane off of these, I'll just leave it. If it seems like it's not, you know, like a thick piece of skin all the way across that can just easily be pulled off, just leave it. But if it's, you know, a thicker membrane, you got to get it off or your ribs are going to be real hard to chew. But I think in this case, the way this membrane, I mean this membrane's kind of just pulling apart real easy. I'm going to just leave it alone in this case. In some cases I leave the membrane alone. In some cases, you know, if it seems like it's coming off like a thick film, I'll pull it off. But in this case, I'm going to just leave it and going to basically just get my knife here, and I'm just going to cut each slab into quarters. Alright, so I've got my ribs all cut into quarters here. Got myself some rib rub here. Nothing in this video is sponsored, by the way. I've got 1 cup of barbecue sauce and 1 cup of water that I'll be using in the pot. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get each piece of rib covered with my seasoning and then put each one into the pot. So just going to go through that process here now. And I will mention that you can, you know, if you want to use something instead of barbecue sauce in your mix, if you're not into, you know, wanting to have barbecue sauce in it, use a cup of like apple juice. A cup of apple juice, you know, something, a cup of something a little sweet is what you want, and a cup of water. So, you know, you can use apple juice, you can use barbecue sauce or whatever you want to use. And, you know, a good pork rub will give it all some nice flavor too. Alright, getting our last slab in. I do believe we're not above the max line with our 9-pound ribs. We're just a good bit under the max fill line, so we're doing pretty good there. I do believe this one is, you know, maybe just at the max line, but I think we're okay. And so with that, I'm going to take my cup of barbecue sauce and my cup of water, and I'm going to get those poured in here and just kind of slathering the ribs in the sauce. So I guess these ones on top will have a good bit of sauce on top of them. And you know, you can put the fluids in the way you like. I just put them on top, and just going to put some water in here. Just pour some water across and just kind of pour it down on the side here. So that's pretty good to go. Alright, so I basically have my pot turned this way because I wanted to be able to easily get things in, and with the Foodi you got that non-removable lid that kind of, you know, prevents you from easily getting things in depending on the configuration of your kitchen. But now I'm going to turn the Foodi around so that we can basically see what we're doing, and get my pressure lid locked in. Put that on like so. Now that's locked in. And now that we've got the pressure lid on and locked in, I'll go ahead and power up my Foodi. And I'm going to turn it over to its pressure setting. I'm going to leave it at high pressure. I'm going to hit the time. I'm going to turn time up to 30 minutes. For 9 pounds of ribs, I do 30 minutes, and a 20-minute natural release is how I do it. So we've got it on 30, and we've got our high pressure. And so with that, I'm just going to hit start. I'm going to spin it back around so that this steamer, when I got to let the steam out, doesn't hit my cabinets. But we'll let this, basically go through its preheat and all and pressurize. We'll come back after the 20-minute natural release is ready to be performed. Alright, now as things are building up pressure, there's something I forgot to do, and I always forget to do it with this Foodi because it doesn't do it automatically. Make sure that you lock your tab here to the seal position. It doesn't really lock the seal, it locks the vent. But you got to make sure that it's well turned to seal, because if you kind of got it like kind of off to the side like I had mine before, it won't be well sealed, and once that pressure builds up, you'll have a bunch of steam spewing out. And with the Foodi, it doesn't lock automatically. I wish it would, or that it did like some others do when you first put the lid on, and then if you want to release it, you just release it manually. But with the Foodi, you've got to always make sure that you've got it in that sealed position so that that pressure stays tight. And then when you're done, you got to pull it all the way to vent and lock it over to vent when you want to vent things out. But things are building up pressure in there. It's getting real hot in there. It's going to start, reaching that real nice seal of pressure and cooking. I'll bring you on back when it's done. Alright, so things have been in there for the 30 minutes of high pressure cooking time, plus the 20 minutes of natural release time. And so there may not be very much pressure still in there, but the pressure valve is still up. So there's still something in there. So I'm going to stand back at a safe distance and release the pressure. Alright, so took a while, but that float finally dropped. And so we're going to go ahead and try and open now. And going to get the lid off. So there are nicely pressure cooked ribs. Got my Thermopan. Of course they're super done, but I just do it anyway. I just stick it in there, and we're way over 200 degrees, and I can tell from the poke that that meat is exceptionally tender. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the pieces of meat into this cleaned out pan here. And when it comes to fluids that you can put in, like I was saying earlier, use something sweet. I've even, for some of my rib cooks, I've used even soda, like a can of soda, and to cook, like Coca-Cola ribs and such like that. So you can use what you like that is a little sweet. This kind of helps. So these are looking really nice. They're looking real good. This one here, it's like the meat's almost totally off the bone there. So I definitely feel that the Ninja does pressure cook a little harder than the Emerald. You probably can, for this cook, you could do it in less than a 30-minute cook with a 20-minute natural release. You probably could cut the time a little bit if you wanted to, and it's up to you. But all the same, these are, I'm sure, some very tender ribs. If you're going to cut the time, then you have to use what you feel is going to work out. Wow. This one in the bottom of the pot is a little, a little overdone. We made a little rib stew down there in the bottom. So, like I was saying, definitely cooks a little harder than the emerald, that's for sure. We got a little rib stew in there, and we got to try and get some of that rib meat out of the bottom that just came off of the bone. So, going to, I got to make sure that I also turn the cooker off, and I'm going to get the pot cleaned out, and then we'll start trying to sear up some of this meat. Alright, so I got my pot all cleaned out, and I've got my reversible rack here in the low position. So I'm just going to slide that on in there like so, and going to get myself some ribs to put on a layer here. I'm going to try and coordinate them nicely. Some of these ribs are so fallen off that I don't think I'm going to be able to run them through the sear process. I mean, some of them are just kind of like side pieces of meat at this point. But anyway, we're going to close up. Oh, I had it kind of under my cabinet there. I'm going to close up the air fry lid there, and going to turn my Foodi back on. And I've got it. I just spun it over to air crisp. Let's see if you can see that now, but I spun it over to air crisp, and the time, I'm going to adjust the time out to, well, temperature I'm going to leave it about 375. I don't want it too hot, but the time, I'm just going to up it to like maybe 30 minutes just so that I have enough time for all my sets. But basically I'm going to do about 5 minutes per set, so 375, about 5 minutes each set. I'm going to hit start and let those cook. Alright, so things are coming down to the end of the 5-minute run, and so I'm going to go ahead and get those out. You can hear that even though it's doing its air crisping, it's not very loud, and I do like that. So I open up, and I got to make sure that I don't hit my cabinets there as I get it open and get these out. I wish that Ninja would just make one. You can see these ribs here. I wish Ninja would make one with a lid that was fully removable like other competitors of theirs have done, so that you can, easily get your food in and out when you've got cabinet situations. I mean, not everybody has a fully open area to use these sorts of things, and you got cabinets that get in the way. And it'd be good if, Ninja thought about that like some other makers of these cookers do. Now I'm going to just go ahead and repeat this process with the rest of these ribs, and I'll bring you on back when things are good and done. One other thing though I wanted to mention is that I think that Ninja should make a Wi-Fi enabled version of this cooker. I mean, if you're going to, for whatever reason, keep this lid that causes some of us to have to move the cooker around to use it, if it was Wi-Fi enabled, it'd be easier to look at an app to keep track of time, to know when the food's done or getting close to done or such like that. That'd be kind of nice. But I'll bring you on back in a bit. Alright, this is the end of the last set, and so I'm just going to basically hit the stop button there, turn things off because I'm done, and with that I'm going to just get this last set out. But look how nice they look. Look at that. They look great. You can of course tell me in the comment what you think, and they feel real tender as I'm pulling them out still. I mean, this is some great stuff. Oh, little bone fell off of that one. But this is some fabulous stuff, I have to say. So getting the rest of these out here, just the last couple pieces. Alright, we'll grab this part here. one's falling off the bone as it comes out. And so with that, I'm going to just close the lid, get it out the way, and I'll just go ahead. Let's see. I want to get a cut out of this one. For some reason, this one looks appealing to me, but I'll just cut it, and you can see the inside of that, and you see the outside and the inside. You see the searing. You know, it's nicely seared even on both sides during the air crisp, so that looks good. I'm just going to take this one and let me get this knife out the way, and I'll put it on my plate, and we'll go ahead and we'll do a taste test of this. Alright, so let's try this rib out. Of course, you can use the barbecue sauce of your choice if you want to sauce it before you eat, but I'm going to taste this one. It's got some sauce infused in from the cook. Okay, super tender, got a nice little sear on the outside and super tender inside. So they turned out good, they taste good, real nice, good job by the Foodi. And so that's how you can cook up some baby backs in your Ninja Foodi, or if you have a different type of pressure air fryer, do the similar type of thing, should turn out just fine for you. You're going to need an 8-quart window if you want to do 9 pounds of ribs. And so with all that said, I do hope that you like this video. You can find this and other recipes in written form on my blog at superwaveovenrecipes.com. There's also a link in the video description for the recipe. Also in the video description, there's a referral link for this cooker and others. Channel gets a commission. You don't pay anything extra. That helps us to do what is done here for you. And with all that said, if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and good eating.